Years ago, on the sea, a little girl in purple clothes was anxiously urging her mother to come ashore. Her mother was one of the many Hino on the island who made a living by fishing. The greedy mother came ashore only after catching abalone. Ready to sell the catch to the fishmonger's son, a nearby Hino asked her to share some with a sick Hino who couldn't dive. Aesoon's mom refused. She was unwilling to pity others at the expense of her own child's hunger. After speaking, she took Aesoon back home. Angry, she questioned why her daughter came to her house. Since her ex-husband died, she had remarried and was not responsible for Aesoon, directing her to seek help from her grandmother instead. Aesoon was heartbroken. She wanted to stay and eat at her mother's house, but her grandmother disliked her resemblance to her mother and did not welcome her. Her uncle also refused to give her yellow fish despite her wishes to stay near her mother. Heartlessly, Aesoon's mom sent her daughter away. As they were leaving, she noticed her new husband hiding cigarettes. For Hino, who relies on holding her breath, smoking was akin to a death wish. Aesoon's mom sighed. Her husband suggested keeping Aesoon at home, knowing he wanted her to work and take care of her siblings. However, staying with her grandmother allowed her at least to finish her schooling. She then solemnly picked up a poem Aesoon had left behind, which won second place. Aesoon's poem criticized her mother for only focusing on catching abalone, fearing she might die at sea. One abalone fetched $100, and she wished she could earn that to buy a day off for her mother, to ease her workload. Aesoon's mom cried after reading the poem, touched that her daughter understood her hardship. Meanwhile, Aesoon was preparing dinner for her grandmother's family when Gwan-sik, the fishmonger's son who liked Aesoon, brought 6 yellow fish. Claiming to give one to her grandmother's house, he brought an extra for Aesoon, knowing her uncle wouldn't feed her, just as her uncle took the fish. Aesoon's mom, furious, threw the fish at him, scolding her grandmother's family for mistreating her daughter. She then left with Aesoon, cleaning her face by the sea, telling her she too wished to spend a whole day with her. She hoped Aesoon would grow up quickly and give her $100 daily so she wouldn't need to dive anymore. Watching her sleeping daughter, Aesoon's mom felt immense relief knowing only this child truly cared for her. From then on, Aesoon stayed by her mother's side. One day after school, Aesoon came home crying, complaining that although she had the most votes, she was only made deputy class president because a powerful boy's family influenced the decision. Seeing her daughter's breakdown, Aesoon's mom, touched by her plight, helped her pregnant aunt in the fields under the scorching sun and harvested sesame, all to borrow a pearl necklace for a wedding to support her own dignity. Aesoon's mom dressed carefully and went to the school to meet her daughter's teacher. Bringing a box of rice cakes as a gift, she hinted that the rice cakes were special. After she left, the teacher found an envelope stuffed with money inside the box and was very pleased. Walking home with her daughter, Aesoon expressed concern about burdening her mother, reassuring her that being just the deputy class leader was okay. Her mom encouraged her, saying it was herself who was pitiful, not her daughter, and that she should just enjoy life. That evening, Aesoon's mom threw all her hidden cigarettes into the fire, planning to quit smoking because her daughter had said that buying her a pearl necklace would be her first act when she grew up. She wanted to live to see that day. However, the next summer, Aesoon's mom fell seriously ill. Others who urged her not to dive, saying they would not let her starve, but the stubborn Aesoon's mom preferred to dive than beg. Wanting to leave more money for her children, in a fit of anger, Aesoon burned her mother's diving suit and ran out of the house, throwing stones at the sea and cursing it for not sparing her hardworking mother. Gwan-sik came quietly to her side and offered her roasted chicken. As she cried and ate, she declared she would never marry Gwan-sik. In the evening, Aesoon's mom woke Aesoon up and prepared roasted abalone for her. Knowing she would not see her daughter get married, she painted her daughter's nails with garden balsam, telling her to go to her grandmother's house after her death. As staying would only mean serving her stepfather, she wanted her uncle to give her away at her wedding, otherwise she would cry in heaven. With tears in her eyes, Aesoon's mom lulled her daughter to sleep before passing away. At the funeral, Aesoon was in a daze. Gwan-sik brought a bowl of meat soup and seeing him made Aesoon burst into tears, missing her mother deeply. Aesoon planned to leave her stepfather's house, but her stepfather said he was going fishing and asked her to take care of her siblings until the tuna season ended. She reluctantly agreed. With her stepfather away, she cared for the children and cultivated the land with Gwan-sik's help. As the stepfather kept finding reasons to keep her there, Gwan-sik often brought fish and even a garden balsam hairpin for Ae-soon. Tired of her life taking care of her siblings, her stepfather hurriedly reassured her, promising to earn money for her to study literature on the mainland, which she loved. Ae-soon agreed. As time passed, Ae-soon worked at a vegetable stall in the market facing Gwan-sik's fish stall. She studied there while he helped her with the stall, bringing her a chair and tidying up. The Hino watched them smiling, feeling that Ae-soon's mom would have no regret seeing Gwan-sik take care of Ae-soon. Gwan-sik's mom watched her son help Ae-soon sell vegetables, calling him a fool. The grandmother disapproved of Gwan-sik working for Ae-soon and knocked over her stall. Gwan-sik quickly intervened and sent his grandmother away. He then found Ae-soon, helped her change her shoes and quietly listened as she vowed never to marry him. A man who didn't even know classic poetry, she was determined to marry someone from Seoul. Gwan-sik listened silently, nervously fidgeting with his clothes, wishing she would take her hands from his pockets to someone in Seoul. The two went to a canola field where Ae-soon saw the fish in Gwan-sik's hand and mocked herself for not needing his pity or charity. Gwan-sik stubbornly turned his head. He wasn't just following her for 10 years out of pity. Ae-soon kept asking why, and unable to hold back, Gwan-sik took her hand, stepped forward and kissed her. He wanted to spend his life with her. Ae-soon felt especially happy. She returned home to find her sister missing, so she searched the house and shockingly discovered her stepfather and his new girlfriend hiding in the closet. The girlfriend did not want to take care of Ae-soon and planned to kick her out. Ae-soon asked her stepfather for her college tuition, which he had promised to provide. The girlfriend mockingly noted that he was already in debt and had no money for her. Ae-soon realized she had to rely on herself. Ae-soon reluctantly sought help from her uncle, hoping he would take her in. However, he wanted her to quit school and work in a factory in Busan, offering room and board plus a salary, half of which she would send home. Unwilling to be exploited by her grandmother's family anymore, Ae-soon, feeling desperate, went to Gwan-sik and tearfully asked if his family had a spare room and if he could convince his grandmother to take her in. Now having no home but Gwan-sik's, she broke down, thinking she would end up marrying a local and living a miserable life. Gwan-sik, seemingly foolish, loudly recited her favorite nostalgic poem. Furious, Ae-soon scolded him for making her live with such a fool. Gwan-sik held her tightly. He didn't dare approach his grandmother but instead planned to elope with Ae-soon. Taking money from home, Ae-soon also took her stepfather's girlfriend's jewelry and met Gwan-sik dressed in her clothes. Before leaving, Ae-soon warned Gwan-sik that once they eloped, there was no turning back. They had to stick together no matter what. Gwan-sik, fearless, kissed her excitedly and took her on a ferry to Busan. On the ferry the crew wanted to check their IDs but they had none since they had run away. Gwan-sik, trembling, tried to bribe the crew with a ring. Ae-soon quickly stopped him and loudly declared to the crew that they were a married couple, not runaway kids. In Busan the couple went to a jewelry store to pawn the stolen jewelry. The owner asked several questions and honest Gwan-sik admitted they had run away from home. Owner, suspecting the origins of the jewelry, refused to accept it. Without money they went to a motel hoping to use a ring as collateral for a room. The understanding owner thought they were honeymooners and let them stay, even providing 2 bowls of ramen and a bottle of soju for free, encouraging them to enjoy a passionate night. However, when they woke up drunk, they found their luggage gone. They urgently asked the owner, who claimed they arrived empty-handed and even threatened to call the police on them for trying to stay for free. Ae-soon realized the owner had eyed their money and set a trap. Despite their protests, the owner threatened to call the police if they didn't leave as they had no ID cards. Disheartened, Gwan-sik and Ae-soon sat by the roadside. After crying, Ae-soon decided to get revenge and retrieve their luggage. That night, another female guest arrived. The owner tried to intoxicate her with the same trick. Ae-soon and Gwan-sik warned the guest not to turn off the lights. The owner waited for the guest to fall asleep but eventually had to go to bed herself. Once the owners were asleep, Gwan-sik and Ae-soon sneaked in. Gwan-sik went for the cash box and Ae-soon looked for their luggage and her mother's photo. As they were leaving, Ae-soon saw her hairpin on a little girl and startled her while retrieving it, which led to their capture by the owner. Gwan-sik dropped the cash box and charged at the owner and both were taken to the police station. The police harshly reprimanded them, hitting Ae-soon with a folder and criticizing their elopement. Later, Gwan-sik's mother arrived and first asked about the jewelry. After hearing it was stolen by the motel owner, she went to the motel, calling it a dishonest place and driving the guests away. The owner grabbed Gwan-sik's mother's hair and the two women fought until the police intervened. That morning the owner tried to pawn the jewelry, but the jeweler recognized it from the day before and reported her theft to the police. Thus Gwan-sik's mother retrieved the stolen luggage and took the young couple back to Jeju Island. In that era, elopement was considered scandalous. Soon was expelled from school and everyone on the island soon knew about her actions. Her uncle also scolded her, making it clear she was now unqualified even for factory work. With her past of elopement, no man would take her unless she married Gwan-sik. Gwan-sik was trying to convince his family to let him marry Soon. His father disagreed with marrying an orphan who had been expelled from school and only had a middle school diploma. Surprised, Gwan-sik rushed to Soon's house, finding it unbelievable that while he was suspended, Soon was expelled. The grandmother explained that in their time, a man doing the same thing might be called a hero, but a woman would be shamed. Knowing not to oppose Gwan-sik directly to avoid worsening his rebellious spirit, his mother went to Soon, using Gwan-sik's future as leverage to persuade her not to be a stumbling block in his life. This tactic worked. When Gwan-sik next visited, Soon refused to marry him. Her family started looking for other suitors for her. Finding a divorced man with a child who was financially stable and promised to send Soon to university within 10 years if she behaved well. He was also willing to fund her poetry publication provided that she bore at least 3 children. Hearing this, Soon felt hopeless about her future filled with childbearing. Hanyo aunts demanded justice for Soon and created a scene at Gwan-sik's home. Hearing about Soon's arranged marriage, Gwan-sik brought many fish to her house, pleading with the elders to let him marry her instead, arguing that she should not marry a 30-year-old divorced man. Pressured, the uncle said it was Soon who didn't want to marry Gwan-sik, driving him nearly insane with confusion. It was Soon's grandmother who reminded him to ask what his mother might have said to Soon. Meanwhile, Soon returned with the man she was set up with. Gwan-sik pulled her away to a canola field, begging her to marry him and even putting a ring on her finger. Soon provocatively said that the other man could provide for her education and poetry publication. Gwan-sik insisted he could also work hard to give her the life she wanted. Soon, fearing Gwan-sik giving up his athletic potential for her, threw the ring into the field and rejected him with her actions. Gwan-sik asked if he was blocking her life, a question his mother had also asked in private. This time Soon affirmed it and convinced him to leave. Afterward, she searched the field for the ring but never found it. They parted ways and Gwan-sik pursued his athletic career, participating in competitions. On the day he left by boat, Soon was at a shop, ordering clothes. A man accompanying her insulted Gwan-sik for being rude. That night Soon defended Gwan-sik, which angered the man. He reminded her that her university funding would depend on her efforts. Soon blurted out that she didn't want his money. Confused, the man asked why she would marry him if she didn't want money. Soon's simple answer was that she had no home and no other choice. As she spoke, her thoughts were filled with Gwan-sik. Soon suggested to the man that he hire her as a nanny. The man was speechless. He felt that his wife would naturally take care of the household chores and saw no need to waste money. His plan was simple: find a filial daughter-in-law for his mother and a thrifty, diligent mother for his 2 children. Soon, driven by a sudden impulse while staring at a wall clock, ran towards the direction Gwan-sik had left. By the time she reached the dock, the ship had already sailed. She ran and called out Gwan-sik's name. Gwan-sik heard Soon's shouts and begged the captain to turn back. However, the captain would not change course just for one passenger. Without Soon, Gwan-sik felt he couldn't go on. The only way he could think of to return to her was to jump into the sea. Gwan-sik swam towards Soon at full speed. Gwan-sik's mother and grandmother watched. Regretting ever letting him learn to swim, the couple embraced tightly. Finally able to be together for life, nothing could separate them now. 8 months after their marriage, they welcomed a daughter conceived during their elopement to Busan. With their daughter, the couple felt they owned the world. Soon no longer thought about attending university and Gwan-sik never regretted giving up his athletic career and the chance to win a gold medal. Soon had a loving husband, but life with her in-laws was difficult. Her mother-in-law wanted a grandson and demanded Soon bow 3,000 times before a Buddha statue to show sincerity. On the way back, her grandmother threw red beans at her. fearing the soul of Ae-soon's mother might cling to her. In her spare time, Ae-soon visited her stepfather's house to see her siblings. Maintaining a good relationship with his new wife, she often complained about her mother-in-law in front of the new wife and helped with her children's diapers. The new wife gave Ae-soon a tricycle for her daughter. When the grandmother saw the tricycle, she demanded Ae-soon throw it away. Insisting that riding was for boys, the mother-in-law agreed and suggested trading the tricycle for candy. That night, the grandmother took her great-granddaughter to sleep, hinting that the couple should go to their room and try for a child. Exhausted from the day, Ae-soon lay in bed. Gwan-sik, feeling sympathy for his wife, always wanted to help share her burdens. Ae-soon asked him to keep the tricycle for their daughter, arguing that if she didn't stand up for this small thing, her daughter would end up busy in the kitchen all her life like her. Ae-soon hoped her daughter could do whatever she wanted and not just serve her in-laws but be bold enough to overturn tables if dissatisfied. Gwan-sik encouraged Ae-soon to do the same, overturn or smash tables, and he would handle the rest. This lifted Ae-soon's spirits. The next morning before dawn, Ae-soon got up to face another day of red bean baptisms as her grandmother prayed for her to have a son soon. At breakfast, Gwan-sik brought good news. He had bought a new tricycle for their daughter. If his mother wanted to trade it for candy of equal value, he had no objections, successfully securing his daughter's right to ride. In her husband's family there was a tradition during meals where the grandmother and the men of the house sat at the main table while the other women sat at a separate table. The main table's bowls often had many peas. Knowing his daughter liked peas, Gwan-sik sat next to Ae-soon and gave her all the peas from his bowl, announcing he would eat at this table from now on, with Gwan-sik's affection. Ae-soon didn't find life in her husband's family too hard and cheerfully saw him off to work every day. Soon after, Ae-soon became pregnant again. The grandmother decided to send her great-granddaughter to become a hino to earn money for the family. Ae-soon loudly protested, refusing to let her daughter become a hino. Remembering her own mother's early death due to a respiratory illness caused by diving, her mother had also warned her never to become a hino or a servant to her in-laws. Ae-soon was determined not to let her daughter follow in her mother's path. This defiance led the grandmother to slap Ae-soon and throw red beans at her, ordering her to leave. Gwan-sik arrived home just in time to witness this scene. He emphasized that Ae-soon had married him to live with him, not to be mistreated by his family. He declared that from that day onward, they would live on their own. Gwan-sik picked up their child and left with Ae-soon. The family of three rented a small house, living a humble but free life. However, they fell behind on rent. Gwan-sik asked the landlord for more time only to learn that someone named Island Virtue had paid 3 months' rent for them. The couple couldn't guess who this person was, away from the in-laws. Ae-soon was much happier. She knew Gwan-sik was earning money through fishing but didn't know for which captain he worked. One day, noticing Gwan-sik's injury and that he wore long sleeves even in hot weather, Ae-soon lifted his pant leg and saw his wounds. Wanting to help, she brought a gift to the captain's house only to find out the captain was the man she had previously met during the arranged meeting. His wife informed her that on the day Gwan-sik was injured, the captain had deliberately delayed their return, forcing Gwan-sik to endure the pain. The captain's wife, a kind woman, knew her husband had a bad temper and had advised him against mistreating his workers. But he seemed to harbor animosity towards Gwan-sik. Ae-soon argued that wrong is wrong and others should not tolerate his mistakes. After leaving the gift, she went to find Gwan-sik at the dock, where she saw the man hitting him. Ae-soon ran over and publicly declared that Gwan-sik would no longer work for him. Before leaving, she kicked the man, cursing him as worse than a pig or dog. Throughout their lives, the couple lived in poverty, but it was their love that made them overlook everything and move forward together. After resigning, Gwan-sik lost his income source, spent his days disheartened, and soon there was no food at home. His daughter Gum-yang faced hunger too. Ae-soon, his wife, started to worry. She couldn't ask others for help. All she could do was cry in front of her grandmother. The grandmother's household was barely better off, still in debt. Disappointed, Ae-soon returned home, unable to sleep. Lying awake on her bedding, realizing for the first time how difficult the adult world is. She couldn't endure hardship like her late mother did. Nor could she manage like the hino aunt who, despite hardships, always managed to eat and sleep on time. Just then, her grandmother's voice was heard outside. She had come late at night to give Ae-soon a passbook with the money so Gwan-sik could buy a boat and become a captain, earning a substantial income. Before Ae-soon's mother passed away, she had asked the grandmother to accompany her for a final photo and entrusted Ae-soon to her. Knowing her daughter well, she believed Ae-soon wouldn't trouble her grandmother unless absolutely necessary. If such a day came, she hoped the grandmother would help Ae-soon for the sake of her late son. The grandmother reassured her daughter-in-law that she would take good care of Ae-soon. Hearing this, Ae-soon was overwhelmed with tears, vowing to live a good and peaceful life. With the money, Gwan-sik purchased a boat and became a real captain. During this celebratory moment, Ae-soon's water broke. Her second child was about to be born. Gwan-sik quickly emptied the cart and rushed Ae-soon to the hospital. After the birth of their son, Ae-soon's relationship with her in-laws gradually improved. Ae-soon, a kind and forgiving soul, had long forgotten being ousted by her in-laws. Gwan-sik still worried about his mother troubling Ae-soon, but she reassured him. Having borne a son and made Gwan-sik a captain, even his mother couldn't be fast enough to appreciate her. Once the in-laws left, Gwan-sik shared great news. With Ae-soon, they finally had their own home, standing at the doorstep of their new house. Ae-soon felt as if she was dreaming. Gwan-sik had purchased her mother's old house. Ae-soon remembered her mother's remarriage from her childhood, and seizing any chance, would run from her grandmother's house through the mountain path to find her mother, who would embrace her warmly upon hearing her daughter's young voice. Now, Gwan-sik had contacted the landlord and bought the house for Ae-soon, making her dream a reality. With the house, they gradually added more furniture, including a brand new mother-of-pearl wardrobe for Ae-soon. The family took a family photo at the door. In this new home, Ae-soon became pregnant with their third child. On a hot night, her mother appeared in Ae-soon's dream, repeatedly saying the woman next door bought a truck. At first, Ae-soon thought her mother was criticizing Gwan-sik's inadequacy compared to the neighbor. After Ae-soon woke up feeling discomfort in her abdomen, she woke her daughter, Gum-yang, and asked her to fetch the neighbor. Following her mother's advice, Ae-soon rode in the neighbor's car to the hospital, where she gave birth to her second son. Once recovered, Ae-soon witnessed presidential elections in South Korea. At the same time, the village was electing a chairperson and vice chairperson. With the villagers' support, Ae-soon became the vice chairperson. During this period, the government was cracking down on men and women who danced socially. Ae-soon, part of the law enforcement team, searched the women's restroom at a dance training center. She found the chairperson's wife and daughter hiding there. Known for his temper, the chairperson was alarmed when the wife, helped by Ae-soon, through a restroom window made a noise while escaping. Ae-soon covered for them, taking on the arrest duty and preventing others from following. The wife dropped a shoe during the escape, which the chairperson recognized after successfully escaping. The wife thanked Ae-soon and shared her struggles with her verbally abusive husband at home. Dancing had become her mental refuge, secretly practiced in her spare time. In contrast, Ae-soon appeared elegant and confident, more like a noble woman, envied by the chairperson's wife, who hoped her daughter would also marry well. Traditionally, women were not allowed on boats, believed to bring bad luck to seafaring men. Thus, Gwan-sik always took his son on the boat while Ae-soon and Gum-yang stayed ashore. Ignoring the custom, Gwan-sik reached out to them, as wary of the superstition, held back Gum-yang, who was eager to board. Ae-soon didn't want her daughter influenced by such beliefs and bravely stepped onto the boat herself, breaking the superstition by example. As the children grew, one day Ae-soon's young son knocked over a candy jar, while she was busy picking up the candies, ignoring her crying son. A typhoon was brewing outside. Gum-yang's classmate came to find Ae-soon, reporting a bike accident with a motorcycle. Ae-soon rushed to find her daughter, entrusting her neighbor, who was half asleep and didn't catch her instructions with the boys. When Ae-soon returned, both sons were missing. A Hino aunt found the older son on the breakwater and brought him home. The younger son, following his brother, got lost, despite the storm. Villagers searched and eventually another Hino aunt brought back the young boy's body. Overwhelmed by grief, Ae-soon held her son's cold body in the storm, insisting on taking him to the hospital. The tragedy shattered the once happy family. Ae-soon regretted not embracing her son instead of scolding him earlier. After their loss, Ae-soon and Gwan-sik often lay idle, reminiscing about their young son and neglecting the feelings of their surviving son and daughter. Their eldest son dared not speak to Ae-soon, thinking she blamed him. In fact, he blamed himself for not staying home to look after his brother. which he believed led to the accident. Gwan-sik, noticing Gum Yang's perfect test score and a tuition fee reminder. Asked about her situation, Gum Yang broke down, regretting her bicycle ride that day, believing it led to her brother's death. At that moment, the couple realized their neglect and embraced their beloved children. Unseen by them, both children were living with deep guilt. Realizing they had to change, Gwan-sik began eating properly and returned to work to earn money. His first priority was to pay Gum Yang's tuition fees. Soon continued to sell seafood at the beach to make a living. Though they had to keep dealing with the sea, Soon resented it for taking both her mother and son. She vowed never to deal with the sea again and often cried at the thought. Gwan-sik, as the strong one, upheld the family, understanding that as parents they needed to live well and not let their children live in guilt. Soon confessed to her husband that their young son's body was found on the dike, a place she often took the children to wait for Gwan-sik's return from sea. The children remembered that spot, which was particularly dangerous during typhoon season. Gwan-sik comforted his wife, never blaming her, he blamed himself. Tormented for decades, thinking if he had not gone to build a seawall on the day of the typhoon, he might not have lost his son, filing the death report. Each entry reminded him of his loss, causing him to sit on the floor and weep, with his rough hands supporting him. Soon noticed the kitchen full of food from neighbors. The mysterious person who paid her rent turned out to be her stepfather's new wife, who helped Soon before moving away. Soon felt fortunate, despite not yet being a strong adult, grateful for the kind people who helped her grow into a grateful woman, in a loving environment. Gum Yang grew up and was admitted to Seoul National University. On her first day, she met her future boyfriend. Meanwhile, Soon found local fishermen arguing with officials. With the Seoul Olympics approaching, the government was clearing Jeju Island's roadside stalls. Refusing to leave, the fisherman called for Vice President Soon. Without a word, she lay in front of the demolition team's vehicle, daring the bulldozer to run over her, forcing the team to leave. After this incident, everyone supported Soon in the upcoming Fishermen's Association election to run for president. Gwan-sik also campaigned for his wife, bringing snacks to the fishermen he knew to secure votes for her. Friends joked that once Soon was elected, he would become the husband of the lady president, teasing that a man must maintain his dignity. Gwan-sik was unperturbed. He had always dreamed of being the first gentleman, while Soon aspired to be the first female president. The current president was trying to secure votes by treating the fishermen to high-quality black pork and disparaging Soon's family during the feast, mocking her second son as a fool. Meanwhile, Soon dressed up and went to attend a meeting celebrating her son's promotion to group leader at school. Unexpectedly, she was called to the playground and scolded by a teacher. It turned out that Eun-young had caused trouble at school by removing and selling the English Let car badges from teachers' cars, believing that possessing a university's initials could secure admission. Furthermore, Eun-young was conducting other business at school, acting like a little merchant. Soon was so upset and lectured her son, wishing he was even half as good as Gum Yang. Returning from school, Soon went to help at a local restaurant, where the president was again hosting a lavish dinner to garner votes, continually belittling Soon. Fearing she might take his position, the Hino women advised Soon to fight back and find a way to expose the president's vulnerabilities. At the banquet, the drunken president met with a female agent in a private room. The agent wanted to evict the street vendors to allow the Olympic torch relay to pass through the village and increase property values, from which she hoped to profit. The president agreed to help her for a 30% cut of the profits. He then made inappropriate advances towards her. At that moment, Soon burst into the room and stopped them. She then exposed the scene to the fishermen. As expected, Soon was elected president of the Fishermen's Association. She hosted a celebration feast for the fish, where she sang and danced joyously while drunk. Eun-young urged his father to stop his mother from making a spectacle of herself in front of everyone. However, Gwan-sik happily watched his wife, knowing it was the happiest day for Soon, who had spent 30 years achieving her dream, evolving from deputy leader to president. She wished she could share this moment with her mother and hold her hand again, despite her tough childhood. Meanwhile, today a driver came to pick up Gum Yang for a tutoring session at a wealthy family's home. Gum Yang left without greeting her boyfriend, who had come to the school to see her. Worried about being late, at the tutoring session, the girl didn't even know the simplest English words, was only interested in fashion, and her parents were rarely home. Only the nanny was there, who cooked delicious food for Gum Yang and took special care of her. Today, surprisingly, the lady of the house requested to see Gum Yang. Waiting for her arrival, the lady suddenly produced an exam admission card with Gum Yang's photo on it. It turned out she had not hired Gum Yang as a tutor to improve academic performance but to have her take the exam in her place. If Gum Yang could get into one of the top 3 universities, the lady promised to give her an apartment in Seoul. She assured Gum Yang that the examiners had been bribed and all she needed to do was to take the exam as a proxy. To persuade Gum Yang, the lady had researched her family background, appealing to her to consider her parents who were working hard to afford her education. Gum Yang, remembering her parents who had taught her to be honest, refused the offer. Angered, the lady falsely accused Gum Yang of stealing a valuable diamond ring and called the police. At the police station, the police searched Gum Yang's backpack but found no ring. Still, they did not believe her and intended to search her physically. A maid, unable to stand by, took the supposedly stolen ring from the bedroom and threw it under a table, pretending it was found there. She then convinced the lady to call the police to admit the misunderstanding. The lady, thinking the maid was foolish for scolding her, saw her opening a window to throw the ring out. Desperate, she rushed to stop her and agreed to call the police. The lady was puzzled why the maid would risk her job to defend a stranger. The maid revealed that she was a former guest saved by Gwan-sik and Soon years ago after they had alerted her to potential theft of her luggage. She remembered Soon's kindness, simply motivated by the belief that no one should suffer theft. 20 years later, recognizing Gum Yang who resembled her young mother, the maid repaid Soon's kindness after leaving the police station. Gum Yang missed her mother and called her, but broke down in tears. Unable to speak upon hearing her mother's worried voice, Soon told Gum Yang that Gwan-sik was invited by the mayor to visit a museum in Seoul and might visit her if possible. Hurrying back to school, Gum Yang arrived at the station just in time to see her father sitting on a bench, overwhelmed. She tried not to worry him and joined him for noodles. She couldn't help but complain about not receiving a scholarship as first place and being asked to vacate her dorm. She knew her achievements were burdening her parents. And despite her selfish desire for more, it only increased her guilt and self-blame. Gwan-sik, understanding her sacrifices for the family situation, offered her some squid he had picked out, reassuring her to pursue her desires as he would fully support her. As he left, Gwan-sik told his daughter not to worry about rent. He would work hard fishing. Gum Yang, however, was fixated on the Independence Hall badge on her father's wrist. Realizing her politically unaware father didn't understand the mayor's intent in showing him the memorial, it was an opportunity to see his daughter. With tearful eyes, Gum Yang watched her father walk away from the car and couldn't help but wave back. Gwan-sik waved vigorously, just as he did when leaving for fishing trips during her childhood. Gum Yang said goodbye to her boyfriend who was returning to military service after his leave. They embraced reluctantly. He asked her to wait for him for 2 more years, promising to marry her once he was discharged. The latest literary poetry contest began, and soon set up a stall at the event. Remembering her own high school poetry competition, the Hino aunt praised Soon's talent and suggested she participate. Soon joked that it was a high school competition and she shouldn't intrude. Soon ran into a high school classmate and felt nervous. Not because of the reunion, but because she couldn't bear to look at the son who was about the age her younger son would have been. Gwan-sik felt similarly, calculating that if their son were alive, he would be 15, and he would give snacks to children of the same age. Meanwhile, a female professor wanted to support Gum Yang, from a poor family, to study in Japan. Gum Yang was thrilled and immediately shared the news with her mother. When Soon asked about it, Gum Yang responded that regardless of whether she told her mother, they couldn't afford it just by running a stall. This led to an argument between them. Afterward, Soon confessed to Gwan-sik her guilt over not providing better living conditions for their daughter. Gwan-sik felt useless, regretting that his wife and daughter had to endure hardship with him. Soon the family was moving to the city. Soon placed candy and the new house address on the windowsill to guide her son's spirit to their new home. On the same day they moved, Gum Yang boarded an international flight, tears falling as she clutched tightly wrapped Japanese yen. Her parents had done everything possible to give her the best. Initially, Soon's mother had hoped her daughter wouldn't live a life like a maid's. Remembering her mother's advice, Soon wanted her daughter to live freely and did her utmost to support Gum Yang's dreams. A soon sold her house and moved into a small apartment. Gwan-sik blamed himself for being too poor and making A soon live in such a rundown house. Upset, he immediately wallpapered the bedroom with floral patterns and enthusiastically asked his wife if she wanted new curtains. A soon guessed Gwan-sik's thoughts and told him smilingly that she didn't care where she lived. As long as she was with Gwan-sik, that was her home. The couple smiled at each other and started decorating their new home together. Initially, A soon planned to open a fish store with 3 Hino aunts by pooling money together, but she gave all her money to her daughter and now had to set up a stall outside the fish store temporarily. On the opening day of the fish store, they took a picture and sent it to Yang. Seeing her mother's lonely stall next to the fish store, Yang couldn't help crying and swore never to steal her parents' dreams again. A year later, after her study tour, Yang returned to Korea and rented a rundown room in a remote mountain area in Seoul to save money. The landlord was difficult and refused to install a lock on Yang's door. After several requests were denied, Yang reluctantly blocked the door with a wardrobe. Unexpectedly, just after she blocked the door, she heard the landlord knocking madly. Then a man with glasses pushed the wardrobe aside, asking for her help. It turned out he was the landlord's daughter's boyfriend. They were dating secretly at home and got trapped when the landlord arrived. Yang had already hidden the man with glasses in the wardrobe. The landlord's daughter tried to distract her father but inadvertently drew his attention to the wardrobe, where he caught the man. Meanwhile, A soon and the landlord shared the same anger. Today, A soon heard whispers coming from her son's room and went in under the pretense of bringing juice. Hearing noises from the wardrobe, she quickly called Gwan-sik to open it and found her son's girlfriend. A soon didn't blame them but inquired about the girlfriend's family. Shocked to learn she was the daughter of a man previously connected for an arranged marriage. She was speechless. That evening, she took her son to visit the girl's family, leaving the arranged marriage man smoking in the stairwell. Upset, Yang continued her studies in Seoul and looked for a part-time job. On the bulletin board she happened to meet Park Chang-go, who was posting a movie poster. Seeing her looking for a job, he introduced her to a ticket-selling job at a cinema. On her first day, the cinema owner complained to Yang about Park Chang-go, describing him as an obscure painter who depicted erotic movie covers as landscapes, never talking back despite the scolding, but never changing his style either. Yang was just about to ask more about Park Chang-go when a customer came to buy a ticket and invited her to a movie. Seeing the ring he tossed, she excitedly asked the owner to cover for her and ran backstage to meet her boyfriend. They embraced sweetly, a scene Park Chang-go saw from the projection room. Feeling inexplicably jealous, he started playing the news to interrupt the couple's intimate moment. That evening, Yang's boyfriend walked her home. Seeing the dilapidated and dangerous neighborhood she lived in, he was very worried. Just then, Park Chang-go happened to pass by. The boyfriend quickly shielded Yang. She reassured him not to worry, explaining that Park was a co-worker from the cinema and that she was fine living there. However, her boyfriend insisted strongly that she move to his apartment in a wealthier area. Feeling her pride trampled, Yang angrily walked away. That day, the boss sent Yang to deliver dumplings to Park Chang-go, who was painting in the basement. Arriving in the basement, she was impressed by the paintings. Suddenly a noisy argument erupted. Yang quickly hid, overhearing the landlord's daughter mocking Park Chang-go for being too poor to take her out to a Western restaurant. Park Chang-go accused his girlfriend of disrespecting their relationship by going on 6 blind dates since they started dating. Just then a phone rang. The landlord's daughter answered it and spotted Yang hiding. Yang explained she was just passing by, but the landlord's daughter was skeptical, especially upon learning that Yang's job was introduced by Park Chang-go. She accused them of having an affair. Park intervened, asking his girlfriend to speak more respectfully. She was left speechless by anger. A few days later, on her boyfriend's birthday, Yang brought seaweed to his apartment and unexpectedly met his mother. The mother disapproved of Yang's inability to even serve seaweed soup properly, even touching the seaweed with her hands at the dinner table. Trying to please her boyfriend's mother, Yang ate a lot and praised her cooking, only to be told the food was store-bought and criticized for her large appetite. Moreover, the mother warned Yang that the apartment was bought for her son and was her property. Hence she did not want Yang visiting again. After dinner, Yang cried in the rain, feeling like a cheap clown in front of her boyfriend's mother. She asked her boyfriend to choose between being a good son or a good husband. Then left crying. Gum Yang took a break from her relationship to focus on work. She noticed an aunt who came to the cinema entrance whenever a new movie was released. Telling everyone that the movie posters were works of art, Gum Yang guessed her identity and took her to the cinema, giving her a movie ticket claimed as a staff benefit. Park Chang-go's mother thanked Gum Yang and praised her son's painting skills. The kind-hearted boss handed the aunt a stack of tickets, saying the cinema would be doomed without Park Chang-go. His mother, very happy, went into the theater. It was her first time watching a movie, and she was emotionally caught up in the story. Park Chang-go, watching his mother engrossed in the film from the projection room, sincerely thanked Gum Yang. She suggested he paint her a painting, joking that she could sell it for a lot of money when he became famous. They laughed and joked as the movie quickly came to an end. And then they walked his mother back to the store. On the way home, Park Chang-go's mother excitedly discussed the movie plot with her son. Afterwards she thanked the warm-hearted Gum Yang, praising her as a good daughter. She would never forget this day. At their family copy shop, she gave Gum Yang many English books left by customers and asked her son to walk Gum Yang home. Park Chang-go treated Gum Yang to noodles as a token of appreciation. Gum Yang took the opportunity to ask him to clarify their relationship to the landlord's daughter. But Park Chang-go said it wasn't necessary, as his girlfriend knew nothing serious was going on between them. He was just trying to alleviate his guilt for marrying someone else for money. Gum Yang quickly comforted the heartbroken Park Chang-go. That evening, Soon went to her uncle's house to prepare offerings for the next day. The anniversary of her father's death, the family reminisced about a dangerous incident involving Soon on a day of ancestral worship 30 years ago. Soon was chopping wood with her cousin when she spotted a black dragonfly, which she associated with a death omen. She tried to catch it to prevent it from taking other dying dragonflies. Chasing it to a bus stop, a disabled woman asked Soon to get change for her to ride the bus. Soon obediently got the change and received a coin as a reward. The woman then asked Soon to go to an alley to exchange more money. But as Soon approached a man, her mother intervened. Realizing a human trafficker was trying to abduct her daughter, Soon's mother had rushed over the mountain, feeling a sudden unease after learning her daughter was chasing a dragonfly. After confirming the disabled woman had a scar on her wrist, Soon's mother became suspicious, knowing the woman had seen Soon's face and wouldn't let her go. In the days that followed, whenever a female customer came to buy seafood, she would check their wrists, scaring many customers away but eventually catching the woman and her accomplice. The villagers, learning they were traffickers, beat them up. Recently, Soon has been having recurring nightmares, waking up feeling anxious about her daughter's safety. She's been calling Gum Yang every night, urging her to come home early and not stay out overnight. However, Gum Yang is frustrated with her mother's nagging. Soon, upset, hangs up and complains to Gwan-sik that although their daughter has grown up, in her heart she remains the little girl she worries about constantly. At night, Soon dreams again about the day her son died because she went to attend to Gum Yang, who had fallen off her bike and wasn't watching her son, leading to his accidental death. Waking up anxious, Soon goes to find Gum Yang and discovers her unconscious from carbon monoxide poisoning. Pale and unresponsive, holding her daughter, crying as she did when her son died, Soon frantically rushes to call an ambulance. By chance, Park Chang-go is also at the landlord's place. He immediately carries Gum Yang down the mountain to get help. Because Soon was overly worried, she repeatedly saved Gum Yang throughout her childhood. When Gum Yang was sent to the hospital, her boyfriend rushed there immediately. Soon remembered this young man. She eavesdropped on the young couple's conversation and heard the boyfriend had given Gum Yang a ring, hoping she would move out of her shabby house after marriage. He couldn't imagine life without her and tearfully reiterated his marriage proposal, promising to persuade his mother while asking Gum Yang to try to make his mother like her more. Unable to listen any longer, Soon confronted the boyfriend, asking why his mother looked down on her precious daughter. The boyfriend remained silent. Soon retorted that she didn't think highly of him either. 2 years passed and Gum Yang's brother went to serve in the military. At the same time, 28-year-old Park Chang-go also enlisted without prior notice. Leaving Gum Yang feeling lost, she noticed a painting leaning against the wall covered by a scarf. It was a portrait of her painted by Park Chang-go. After 2 years of effort by the boyfriend, both sets of parents finally met to discuss the wedding. Soon and her husband arrived at the restaurant early and waited an hour for the groom's family. As they entered, Gum Yang stood up to greet them, asking if they felt car sick. The boyfriend's mother didn't apologize. Instead, Soon kept saying it was okay. The boyfriend's father reached out to Gwan-sik, who held his hand tightly, not wanting to show his rough hands from labor while the elders talked. Gum Yang served soup to everyone, only to find a little left for her own bowl. Seeing this, Soon felt sad, realizing that she always ended up serving at her in-laws. Thinking this, Soon exchanged her soup with her daughters. Feeling she hadn't set a good example, the boyfriend's mother continued to dominate the conversation, criticizing Gum Yang for her lack of domestic skills and suggesting she quit her job after marriage to take care of the family. The boyfriend's father unapologetically handed Gum Yang a bowl to serve more soup. Gwan-sik looked at the boyfriend, knowing that a man should protect the woman he loves. This is why Soon never felt bitter at her in-laws. She clearly remembered Gwan-sik being the first family head to sit and eat with the women. Gwan-sik always showed through his actions that he would be a steadfast partner for his wife. The boyfriend stood up to help. Soon took the spoon from him, not wanting the in-laws to think her daughter was incompetent. She stated it wasn't that Gum Yang couldn't do these tasks. It's just that she never taught her to perform tasks meant for servants. The meal was tense, with the in-laws only caring whether Gum Yang could cook soybean paste soup and other dishes. They had sent Gum Yang to university not to learn how to serve her in-laws. The more Soon thought about it, the angrier she became. Gwan-sik also didn't support the marriage. Days later, the families met to choose fabric for traditional Korean clothes. Soon liked pink, but the in-laws decided without her and chose a fabric that looked like red bean soup. After making their selections, the three of them agreed to have dinner with Gum Yang's boyfriend. While Gum Yang was picking up her boyfriend, her future mother-in-law spoke frankly, expressing her wish for Soon to stop the wedding. She described her son as her life's finest creation and could not accept him marrying Gum Yang. She compared Soon's poor family to trees growing in the shade which could never match the trees thriving in the sunlight of wealth. During the meal, Soon was unhappy, unaware of the conversation. Gum Yang scolded her mother for being unfriendly, leading to an argument between them. Gum Yang saw Soon's compromise and thought her mother felt unworthy of the boyfriend, hence trying to please the in-laws at all costs. Soon explained that she was merely trying to prevent future mistreatment of her daughter by the in-laws. Soon advised Gum Yang to consider carefully, reminding her that she was a precious child to her parents and that they would be heartbroken to see her suffer. At that time, Gum Yang was determined to stay with her boyfriend and had no plans to break up. Boyfriend's mother, unable to sit idly by, confronted Gum Yang. Thinking Soon would persuade her daughter, discovering Gum Yang still intended to marry. She realized that Soon too had been silently enduring hardships. Gum Yang decided she could no longer tolerate it. She told the elder that her past silence was not out of weakness but to spare her boyfriend embarrassment. She pointed out that while she could consider her boyfriend's feelings, his mother treated her child's life as her property to be trampled at will. After this argument, Gum Yang firmly decided to break up. The couple, who had been together for 7 years, took a year to completely end their relationship. On the night they severed ties, Gum Yang spoke her truth, saying she had always loved her boyfriend deeply, but love did not mean sacrificing her. She lamented how she had compromised for him. Her boyfriend was willing to set boundaries with his parents, but Gum Yang shook her head, believing that if love required such sacrifices, it would only lead to mutual resentment. She did not want her boyfriend to end up resenting her. With Gum Yang's insistence, the former lovers ended their relationship with a hug. Knowing about their daughter's breakup, Soon and her husband were somewhat worried, sighing heavily at the dinner table with somber expressions. The next moment, Gum Yang's voice came from the entrance. She had returned home. Instantly her parents' faces lit up with smiles. Soon rushed to the kitchen to prepare food, while Gwan-sik brought a heater for their daughter to warm up. Watching her parents busy themselves, Gum Yang imagined how quiet the house must have been before she entered, in stark contrast to the current lively scene. Soon prepared a table full of food, varying the dishes daily to feed Gum Yang. Unsure how to soothe their daughter's emotions, her parents could only think of making sure she was well fed and energized to face the new day. One day before dawn, Gwan-sik took his daughter Gum Yang out to sea to watch the sunrise. Gum Yang could hardly imagine how her father managed to go out to sea every day before dawn. As waking up early was a torture for her, Gwan-sik's motivation came from his family. His early mornings ensured a comfortable life for them. Allowing Gum-yang the luxury of sleeping in, Gum-yang felt guilty for canceling the wedding and embarrassing her parents. But Gwan-sik actually hoped she wouldn't marry into that kind of family and didn't care whether she married at all. Gum-yang disagreed, determined to marry because her parents were happy together. As they spoke, the sun rose to Gum-yang. Gwan-sik was the person that took care of the family, always making her feel warm. Speaking of the cancelled wedding, Ae-soon had never sent out the invitations. Sensing her daughter might change her mind, Ae-soon held her daughter's hand, comforting her that it's okay not to forget, but to pack up cherished memories and keep them deep in the heart to reminisce whenever desired. Gum-yang looked at her mother and encouraged Ae-soon to continue writing poetry. Her only hobby, which she still pursued daily, Gum-yang returned to Seoul. Opened her windows to let light in, changed her bedding, cleaned the fridge, and stored the side dishes her mother had prepared for her. After seeing off Gum-yang, the couple returned home, somberly moved to tears by gifts of skincare products. Ae-soon's sister-in-law came to sell her products. Her car was filled with various items. Being family, Ae-soon bought 2 mattresses, asking her sister-in-law to deliver one to her mother-in-law. The sister-in-law felt awkward, as she, being the biological daughter, only remembered her mother when she needed help. Unlike Ae-soon, who frequently cared for the elderly, Ae-soon gave the other mattress to her grandmother on her birthday. Grandmother was somewhat senile, not recognizing family members and only knowing Ae-soon as her granddaughter. Ae-soon, grateful for her grandmother's kindness, planned to take her for dentures in the spring. Her grandmother remembered that Ae-soon had also lost a son, a feeling she understood well. At home, the couple tacitly never mentioned their deceased young son. In that moment, Ae-soon cried on her grandmother's lap. At night, the grandmother slept on the mattress Ae-soon bought, commenting that Ae-soon was a filial child. In the past, she had never given Ae-soon much, even as little as a small yellow fish. But now her granddaughter was repaying with kindness and even wanted to take her to live with her, making the grandmother feel her life was nearing its end. Scenes from her life flashed before her eyes. Sometimes life was hard, almost suffocating, but overall having her children by her side made it a happy life. After their grandmother passed away, Ae-soon and her husband went to pay their respects. As they grew older, dealing with farewells became a part of life. Ae-soon was somewhat afraid of being separated from Gwan-sik, and they promised each other to face death together. On this day, the couple welcomed their son home from the military. His return was accompanied by his girlfriend. Not only had they reconciled, but she was also pregnant with a new life. Ae-soon was initially unable to accept this, and Gwan-sik even considered giving his son a stern talking to. Park Chang-go also returned from the military. As soon as he got off the bus, he saw Ae-soon sitting in the car. He ran after the bus, blending in with a group of fans chasing after a celebrity. He loudly called out for Gum-yang. It seemed like Gum-yang heard someone calling her name. Spring was about to arrive for Gum-yang. In 1997 in South Korea, a financial crisis hit. Big and small companies went bankrupt, and the unemployment rate soared. Gum-yang was also struggling between finding a job and getting laid off. The movie theater where Gum-yang used to work didn't escape the hard times either. She was on the bus when she saw the announcement that the theater would close in December, and she suddenly felt like going to see one last movie there. Park Chang-go also came. He entered the theater after the movie had started and sat a few rows behind Gum-yang. The two of them didn't notice each other. When the movie ended, the owner asked Park Chang-go if he had seen Gum-yang. He made Gum-yang come to the movie and intentionally arranged for them to sit close to each other. Park Chang-go realized he had missed something. He chased after Gum-yang out of the theater and saw her get on a bus. He ran as fast as he could, took a shortcut, and finally caught up with the bus carrying Gum-yang. The bus was very crowded. Park Chang-go stood at the front of the bus, always watching Gum-yang, who was dozing off and gradually moving closer to him as passengers gradually got off the bus. Park Chang-go sat down in the seat in front of Gum-yang, waiting for her to wake up. After not seeing each other for years, the two of them went to a small diner to catch up. Park Chang-go got straight to the point, admitting that he had been going to the movie theater every day hoping to run into Gum-yang again after they broke up. He always thought about Gum-yang after drinking a few bottles of alcohol. Yang was a little tipsy and accidentally dropped a bottle on the ground. Park Chang-go immediately bent down to pick up the broken pieces, worried that Gum-yang would get hurt, and then checked Gum-yang's hands to see if she was okay. Seeing the guy in front of her caring for her like a father, Gum Yang agreed to go out with him. After dating for a while, when it was time to think about marriage, Gum Yang took her boyfriend home to meet her father. Gwan-sik's future son-in-law went to the sea, but unexpectedly Park Chang-go got terribly seasick. He fell to the ground, vomiting, feeling weak, and having a hard time standing up. Gwan-sik didn't like that Park Chang-go was weak like a chicken, and his face clearly showed his disdain. Meeting the future father-in-law. Drinking alcohol was also part of the test. After spending a day together, Gwan-sik felt like he understood. Park Chang-go was clumsy, didn't know how to say nice things, got seasick, and also had a low alcohol tolerance. Park Chang-go's face was already flushed red and he was a little unsteady on his feet. Even so, his eyes were always on Gum Yang. When he saw Gum Yang go to the restroom, he worried that it was cold and dark outside and that Gum Yang would fall or get hurt. Today on the boat, Gwan-sik also noticed that Park Chang-go always followed closely behind Gum Yang, protecting her, making sure she was always within his sight. Park Chang-go put his jacket around Gum Yang, pulling her away from the broken bottles lying on the ground. Gum Yang took the opportunity to remind Park Chang-go that he needed to be more relaxed and try to win her father over. If Gwan-sik didn't approve, she wouldn't marry Park Chang-go. Hearing this, Park Chang-go became determined. As soon as he walked into the house he flashed a bright smile and acted cute with Gwan-sik, asking to peel shrimp for him. Soon, who was inside, saw everything. She realized that Park Chang-go really loved her daughter. Both she and her husband agreed to let their daughter marry him. But most importantly, Park Chang-go's mother also prepared gifts for the two of them and wrote on the card that she really liked Gum Yang. That one sentence was enough to make Soon happy all night. Her daughter is beautiful and has a good personality. How could any older person not like Gum Yang? With the approval of both families, Gum Yang held her wedding soon after. She held Gwan-sik's hand as she walked down the aisle. From childhood, the sentence Gwan-sik said to his daughter the most was, no matter what happens, don't try to endure it alone, just come find your dad. In this situation, that sentence became the catalyst for tears. When Gum Yang was little, her dad would often feed her and tell her that if it wasn't good she could spit it out at any time. When Gum Yang reached school age, Gwan-sik told his daughter that if she didn't like school she could just come home. The same was true when running. Gwan-sik told his daughter not to try too hard but just to run back to him. Gum Yang grew up with these words filled with a sense of security, knowing that her dad would be a strong support for her. Thinking about this, Gum Yang cried uncontrollably, ending the wedding in tears. However, at the same time as embracing happiness, Gum Yang's younger brother encountered a disaster. Getting caught up in legal trouble, her brother single-mindedly wanted to make a lot of money. He was deceived by an acquaintance and became a fall guy for them. Facing the blame from his parents, the son unloaded all of his dissatisfaction from childhood. His parents loved Gum Yang more. They gave her everything good and often praised her, saying, "My daughter is so good," compared to his sister. The son never received the same treatment. Over time, the son felt unfairness in his heart. He wanted so badly to make something of himself and prove that he was better than Gum Yang, which is why he was deceived by others and became a fall guy. This was a problem that Soon had worried about. When she was young, she couldn't be a perfect mother who took care of everything, and sometimes she was careless. She was afraid that she might inadvertently cause harm to her children. But this time it wasn't like there was no way to save her son. As long as they paid back all the money that the people who were cheated had lost, her son would be released. As for Soon, she went to the mother of the acquaintance who had harmed her son, wanting to find out his whereabouts. That mother deliberately hid information, so Soon got angry, grabbed her hair and sat on her to beat her up. The people she was with had never seen Soon so feisty and were all surprised and wide-eyed. After making a scene, Soon took the newly purchased electrical appliances from her shop and even the ring on her hand as compensation for her family. And Gwan-sik went everywhere borrowing money. Having to humble himself and beg others for his children in middle age was truly heartbreaking. Next, Gwan-sik sold the first boat he ever owned. The boat held so many memories for the whole family, but to save his son he felt that giving up anything was worth it. After collecting enough money, his son was released. Compared to the joy of regaining his freedom, the feeling of guilt in his heart was even greater. Maybe parents and children are like this. Children can easily hurt their parents and abandon them. But no matter what, parents always hold their children's hands tightly. Soon advised her son that Gwan-sik had worked hard to support the family and had suffered countless injuries. Even if her son couldn't help his father ease the burden, he should at least not say things that would hurt his father. Losing his fishing boat, Gwan-sik could no longer continue to earn money. Soon, who once dreamed of a wealthy life, began working on cleaning squid for customers at the market. She had to stand all day at the market, her face flushed red from the cold. Besides, her son also wanted to help the family reduce the burden. Every day as soon as it got dark, the son would find all sorts of excuses to go out. It turned out that the son was working a side job in the evening. Because he couldn't find anything else to do, the only thing he could do was go out every night to sell glutinous rice cakes and buckwheat jelly. Selling for 6 to 7 hours, the daughter-in-law felt bad for her husband and begged Gwan-sik to temporarily support the whole family of 3. Gwan-sik didn't soften at all. As the head of the family, it was right for him to endure hardship. Gwan-sik said that, but in his heart he still cared about his son, until one day the son left behind an envelope containing money and quietly left. The whole family worried that the son was thinking of doing something drastic. Soon received news that her son seemed to have boarded a deep-sea fishing boat. The whole family rushed to the pier. The nightmare of losing her youngest son years ago came back, and soon couldn't accept losing another beloved child. When Gwan-sik arrived at the communication room at the pier, the boats had already set sail. He asked the captain to turn back and promised to pay the fuel costs. The father-in-law snatched the device from his hand and promised to pay double the fuel costs. The captain's eyes lit up at the sight of the money and he turned the ship around. Gwan-sik scolded his son when he returned, asking who does such dangerous fishing work. It's very likely to have an accident, drown, get crushed by the equipment, or even have your hand cut off. Gwan-sik was experienced and understood the dangers of fishing. He could take risks for the happiness of his family, but he absolutely wouldn't allow his son to follow his path. His son cried and told his dad that every time he sold rice cakes, customers would tell him to treat Gwan-sik well, so many people said. The son realized something was wrong and he finally understood the whole story. It turned out that Gwan-sik and his father-in-law had been secretly helping him. The truth was exactly that. Earlier, Gwan-sik had taken his grandson to meet the father-in-law who wasn't loved by his wife and children. Seeing the adorable child, the father-in-law's heart melted. Gwan-sik advised him not to be so bossy at home all the time or he would eventually be alienated by everyone. The father-in-law also wanted to improve his relationship with his daughter, so he agreed to Gwan-sik's proposal, giving money to the people in the neighborhood and inviting them to buy from his son. Soon arrived late, and as soon as she arrived she hit her son. She almost lost him. Soon tearfully apologized to her son, saying that it was all because of her favoritism that her son felt unfairness. After this incident, the son was brought home safely. Gwan-sik found his son a job that paid enough to live on. Yang came home to visit her mother. When she left, she rarely took so much fruit. Soon noticed that her daughter seemed to be having financial difficulties. After she asked about it, she learned that Yang had quit her job and started a business and had poured all her money into it. Before Soon could scold her daughter, she saw her son bandaging his frostbitten fingers. She had reminded her son many times to wear gloves when handling frozen ice. Soon was angry that her children didn't listen to her and kept causing trouble for the family. Especially Yang, starting a business at her age. She should be having kids quickly. Her mother's words ignited Yang's anger. She didn't want her children to live a poor life like she did, so she chose to start a business. She wasn't as lucky as her younger brother who had such a loving father. Yang's words made Gwan-sik sadly return to his room, stable his whole life. This time for his children he decided to go big and make a lot of money quickly. Gwan-sik sold the family's only vegetable garden and mortgaged for a large sum of money to buy a shop in a desolate place. The couple along with the fishing ladies went to see the shop. Gwan-sik told everyone that the broker said a golf course would be built here and it would soon be incredibly lively with lots of customers. Soon everyone arrived at a desolate commercial area. Standing in the middle of nowhere, Soon and Gwan-sik renovated the shop, looking forward to prosperity after the golf course opened. This was the first time the couple had taken such a big risk. If the shop had no customers, they would have to sell their apartment to pay off their debts. Gwan-sik was curious why Soon had so easily agreed to him buying the shop. Soon smiled, saying that when Gwan-sik said he wanted to buy the shop, his expression was exactly the same as when they ran away together 30 years ago, so she agreed without hesitation. The two looked up at the empty shop in front of them, unaware that unforeseen difficulties were about to come that night. The son found out that the broker who sold the shop to Gwan-sik had run away, and the vegetable garden that Gwan-sik had sold was used to build a restaurant, and its value plummeted. That meant that Gwan-sik had been scammed by a fraudulent corporation. The son cursed his useless father, saying that he was too old to be doing such stupid things. If the vegetable garden was still there, there would have been money for his daughter to study abroad. Hearing this, Ae-soon angrily scolded her son for being ungrateful. The vegetable garden was Gwan-sik's property, so he could do whatever he wanted with it. If it wasn't for wanting to give his children a better life, he wouldn't have risked his entire life on this gamble. Gwan-sik had never lived for himself a single day. He was the last person who should be scolded. Gum-yang heard the news that her father had been scammed and ran around everywhere borrowing money to help her father pay off his debts. She complained to her mother that from childhood she had always educated her to be the pillar of the family, which made her feel suffocated. She blamed her mother for sacrificing too much, sending her to study abroad, which made her always carry a burden of guilt. Whenever she thought about her parents doing everything they could and putting all their hopes on her, she felt pressured. After saying this, she burst into tears and angrily left home. Ae-soon looked at the vegetables that Gum-yang didn't take with her with a heart full of grievances that she didn't know where to vent. She looked up at the photo stuck on the refrigerator, and her daughter's apologies and tears couldn't help but fall. She blamed herself for being useless, for letting her daughter run around borrowing money while pregnant, just like she was back then, powerless. A few months later, the day came for Gum-yang to give birth. Unfortunately, Gum-yang had prolonged labor for more than 12 hours, but the baby still wouldn't come out. Park Chang-go anxiously called Ae-soon, telling her to come because Gum-yang was having a difficult birth and kept asking to see her. Ae-soon rushed to the hospital and successfully helped her daughter give birth to the baby. After this experience, Gum-yang realized that her mother was only 18 years old back then, giving birth to her in such terrible circumstances, and must have suffered even more. She hugged her mother and cried. Ae-soon took care of her daughter's food and drink. Gwan-sik made the bed for her, and Park Chang-go kept talking about the baby's condition, even laughing and saying that Gum-yang was like a weak princess. Gwan-sik wasn't happy and scolded him not to forget his place. Winter passed and spring came. Gwan-sik finally decided to open a restaurant. Although the location of the shop was far from the city, he could deliver food, relying on his hard work and dedication to develop the restaurant. Soon Gwan-sik and his son rode a small motorcycle, distributing flyers, introducing dried squid to every house. After years of hardship, God finally began to take care of Gwan-sik's family. In 2002, the Korea-Japan World Cup was very lively, and people gathered to watch soccer. Gwan-sik's home-delivered dried squid became an indispensable snack for soccer viewers. Thanks to this boost, Gwan-sik's restaurant business quickly prospered. Not only that, but entering the 21st century, Jeju Island also became a popular tourist and filming location. And the restaurant welcomed wave after wave of tourists and even celebrities. A top Korean actress made a special trip to Gwan-sik's restaurant and filmed a commercial. This actress had a connection with Gwan-sik. A few years ago, the actress was caught in a scandal. In despair, she boarded Gwan-sik's fishing boat and wanted to jump into the sea and end her life, but was rescued by Gwan-sik. When the ambulance arrived, Gwan-sik thoughtfully put his jacket over her face to prevent others from recognizing her. The actress had always been grateful to Gwan-sik and wanted to repay him, but Gwan-sik always refused. This time she finally found an opportunity. After being promoted by the actress, the restaurant's business became incredibly prosperous. Ae-soon had never been so happy. Now that the family's financial situation was better, she decided to fulfill her childhood dream and start writing poetry. But before writing poetry, she still had to take care of her beloved daughter. Ae-soon received a call for help from her daughter. Her granddaughter was not listening and broke a rice bowl. Ae-soon helped her daughter take care of her child and also cleaned the house spotless. Gum-yang came home from work and blamed her mother for working too hard, which made her feel guilty. Ae-soon knew her daughter was working hard taking care of her child. She reminded Gum-yang not to think of her child as her whole world and to do whatever she wanted to do without hesitating. If she forced herself to live a life she didn't want, resentment would definitely arise, and she would eventually create pressure for her children. After Ae-soon said this, she left her daughter deep in thought and returned to Jeju Island. After her mother left, Gum-yang talked with Park Chang-go about wanting to use the money to buy a piano for their daughter and to take her parents for a comprehensive health checkup. Park Chang-go loved his wife and of course nodded in agreement. Gwan-sik and Ae-soon went to the hospital for a health checkup. After a stomach and intestinal endoscopy, Ae-soon woke up first. She noticed that Gwan-sik, while dreaming, kept calling out the name of their youngest son and shedding tears. Ae-soon then realized that Gwan-sik, just like her, had buried the pain of losing their youngest son in his heart and had never truly recovered. One day before the memorial day of their youngest son, Ae-soon went to the grave to find Gwan-sik. She realized that every time the memorial day of their youngest son came, Gwan-sik was afraid of seeing Ae-soon heartbroken. To avoid her, he always visited the grave one day early. But Ae-soon didn't know that every time she visited the grave of their youngest son, Gwan-sik secretly followed her, fearing that she might do something drastic and jump into the sea. The health checkup results showed that Gwan-sik had health problems for a long time. Gwan-sik had suffered from arthritis. This health checkup revealed that he had multiple myeloma, a type of blood cancer similar to leukemia. Now the condition had progressed to kidney failure, and he had to receive treatment immediately. Ae-soon and Gum-yang could hardly accept this shocking news and hurriedly arranged for Gwan-sik to undergo chemotherapy. In the blink of an eye, spring arrived. Ae-soon supported Gwan-sik as he went for chemotherapy. Gwan-sik again blamed her for always looking at his feet instead of looking at the blooming flowers in front of her. Ae-soon held her husband's hand. Her eyes red, Gwan-sik picked a flower that had fallen on her head, worrying about how lonely his wife would be in the future. After chemotherapy, Ae-soon was busy helping her husband hold the examination ticket and register. But Ae-soon was old and unfamiliar with the high-tech medical system, so she kept making mistakes and getting scolded by the staff. Gwan-sik couldn't bear to see his wife being bullied, so he stepped forward to defend Ae-soon. When Gum-yang arrived, she became angry with her daughter, ordering her to accompany her to the hospital from now on. Ae-soon comforted her daughter. Gwan-sik stood by and watched an elderly woman who had missed her appointment number, thinking that Ae-soon would also be lonely and helpless like that in the future, and he felt extremely sad. That night he sent his wife home so his daughter could come and sleep with him. All night he told Gum-yang about Ae-soon's life from when she was young. When he mentioned the two running away, he recalled the 3 things he had promised Ae-soon years ago: to help Ae-soon become a poet, to send her to college, and to go to Seoul. Only when he was about to pass away did he fulfill Ae-soon's dream of writing poetry. Finally, Gwan-sik asked his daughter to take care of Ae-soon after he passed away. He knew that he would be failing his daughter by asking her to take care of his wife. But just thinking about Ae-soon being lonely and alone made him so sad that he couldn't sleep. In his final moments, Gwan-sik wanted to go home to live. Arriving home, his son bowed his head and wiped the sofa that he had bought for his father. Opening his eyes and seeing his father's thin body, he couldn't help but burst into tears. He remembered back then because his birthday and the memorial day of his younger brother coincided. His grandmother didn't allow him to celebrate his birthday. Gwan-sik secretly took him out to eat black bean noodles and bought him toys for his birthday. Like that, every year his dad secretly took him out to celebrate his birthday. The son had actually known for a long time that his parents also loved him. But because his sister was spoiled too much, he had deliberately forgotten the love his parents had for him. As the days went by, Gum-yang's company became successful. In her speech, she narrated the initial intention when establishing the online trading company, wanting to help those who have dreams but don't have the opportunity to go to school like her mother, to be able to study on her own. Ae-soon was deeply touched after listening. Good news followed. Ae-soon's poetry collection was published. She joyfully told Gwan-sik the news. She had fulfilled her promise to herself. Gwan-sik hugged his wife's poetry collection and couldn't hold back his tears, excitedly picking up Ae-soon and spinning her around. In the evening, Ae-soon begged Gwan-sik not to leave her, even if it was just to stay for one more happy year. But Gwan-sik was also powerless. He told Ae-soon to promise him not to cry at his funeral. He only needed to see his wife heartbroken to have his heart shattered. Gwan-sik gently comforted Ae-soon, who was crying like rain, just like he had always comforted and encouraged her. It was precisely because of Gwan-sik that Ae-soon was able to feel like she was living in heaven no matter how hard the days were. Gwan-sik's health continued to weaken and he finally couldn't hold on any longer and had to be hospitalized. Ae-soon looked at Gwan-sik struggling to breathe through the glass. They had been husband and wife for so many years that they knew what the other was thinking without needing to say anything. Ae-soon thanked this life for having Gwan-sik by her side. She had obtained a life of unparalleled happiness. Gwan-sik used his hand to signal his wife to pull down her mask. In his final moments, he wanted to engrave the image of Ae-soon in his mind. Gwan-sik's death was heartbreaking for everyone. Losing her father, Gum-yang received a savings book that Gwan-sik had left for her. Inside was the money that his daughter had given him each time. Compared to spending their children's money, the hearts of the children were enough to make their parents happy for a long time. As for Ae-soon, she lived in the small house that the two of them shared. She often felt that Gwan-sik was still there, present in every corner of the house by her side. Ae-soon was suddenly moved, opened the notebook and wrote lines of poetry. Gradually the content in the notebook increased. The grandchildren also gradually grew up. Gum Yang photographed her mother's poetry collection and sent it to the editor-in-chief of the publishing house. The editor-in-chief looked through the poetry collection and was moved to tears. The editor-in-chief also didn't know what was happening to her. Tears just kept flowing non-stop after reading through the entire book. The editor-in-chief gave her assessment. She felt proud of the author of the poetry collection. Not long after, Ae-soon's poetry collection was published, officially debuting. She refused to live with her children and lived alone in the small house from years ago. Her only wish was to be able to see Gum Yang more often before she passed away. Looking back on her life, she had so many happy memories. The most precious memories in her life were all written in the poetry collection. Because of having the poetry collection as a companion, Ae-soon lived very happily every day. The back of the poetry collection printed a photo of her and Gwan-sik when they were young. Ae-soon remembered that from the age of 9, Gwan-sik had always been by her side. The two had experienced so many ups and downs and hardships together. If it weren't for Gwan-sik bringing her a happy life, this poetry collection would not have been born. Gwan-sik's love was the best nourishment in her life. This is where the story ends. Don't forget to like and subscribe to not miss out on more amazing videos. For now, goodbye and until next time.